back down here in the Chief's pit, Timmy Petty, Mark Petty, Richie Petty, and we was going through some things again, and we were thinking. I was watching this race the other day on the YouTube, and it was this, I think it was 77 Charlotte, and Richard's run pretty good, right? And the shock mounts, because they used to run double shocks. Remember that on them old Dodges? It pulled both shock mounts out, so they had him come behind the wall, and he's back there welding them up and trying to get him back out there to finish the race. But it reminded me, no matter how prepared you think you are, always something happening. And then you never have nothing to work with.
Away. Meanwhile, back in the garage area, they work on the car of Richard Petty. Richard's still in the car right now, and Chris Economaki is there with him. They going to be able to fix it, Richard?
Yeah, they're going to weld it up.
Well, exactly what is it?
They pull all the shock mounts out of the right front. Were you off the road or just a bump or what? Well, the track's pretty rough, and anyhow, you know, the car's about a year old. I guess it's got too much to fix.
Richard Petty waiting to get some welding done. So we'll have to wait and see if Petty can get...
So what we got going on here today is specialty tools that we've had to make because you didn't have, right?
Well, yeah, and you can show them that one first.
Well, this was a piece that was made for Mr. John Coble by Curtis Wright.
And I think it was for like the small block 340 type rocker arms. But yeah.
When you're adjusting the springs and all, right?
Well, or checking P2V, piston to valve clearance. I would assume because we took it and we made our attempt at it, so look how close it looks, and we didn't even have that one at the time.
Well, this one here would have been made probably in 1977, 75.
It was for a small block, so yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then we made this later on to fit an application for a particular rocker arm.
Well, for 75 years of Petty Brothers racing, yeah, we've accumulated some homemade tools, ain't we?
So, like when you were racing, Rump Pittman had come up with one that Keith had told me about, and and I drew it off of a piece of pattern paper, and that fits some of the old rocker arms that we used. Probably need to show it better. And
well, see, and that's what people don't really understand in today's racing and stuff, and the way machining and everything's got, you can about buy anything you want.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, but let's be fair. I mean, these days the rules that you have. It's just like that deal with like Harvick's windshield bolts coming out and all. You got to use all the same stuff. So a lot of the innovation's gone.
Right, but I'm just saying. Sure. But I'm just saying the way even out of racing tools. Yeah. People had to make their own
build their tools to build their own stuff
because you didn't have the Northern Hydraulics or whatever down the road to go to.
Another example, it does the same thing. You get up under it and you pull it down. It's basically just a lever. That was a little bit newer than the yellow one I just showed. I'm more finished up the rocker arm tools. This is actually a newer one, and look how they all look the same, but dimensionally they're a little bit.
Is that a homemade piece?
No, that was I think from one of probably T&D or either Del West.
Yeah,
I don't know. Somebody can weigh in on it.
Well, like I said now.
But that's a newer one.
Right.
Of that right there.
But with the machining skills now, with all this computer machining and all, you can really get some nice stuff.
Oh yeah.
This other stuff's made.
But they're both effective.
No, they are.
They both work.
I know they are.
You can just leave it there with that one, because and one of the first things that you and I did when we went to machinist school was made a step punch, which we still use this on piston pins to this day.
Yes.
I just wanted to throw that out there that we can make a little something. And I guess going forward, there's been some pretty fancy spanner wrenches. Well, this has got some sort of socket welded on it, and I guess it was for a hub, wouldn't you think, or something of that nature?
Yeah.
But we still hang it up and we use these tools.
Where's the spark plug tools?
I didn't bring any in here. We'll have to do another episode on that. Well, these are actually these are extenders to torque the inner bolts on a Hemi, and I still use these on the old 440s. And
but used to with the header clearance so tight and stuff, we used to have to take spark plug sockets and weld them to wrenches. And about every 2 or 3.
Got 50 of them.
Oh, I know, but I was just thinking that you always had to. Every time you changed the headers, you had to adjust and make new tools to get the spark plugs in and out.
Well, especially on the old Chevrolets when the headers come out together, and anyway, we'll do another episode on the spark plug.
Now, did this here piece was made for cutting gaskets?
Either that, or I think you know what, that was for putting that little tripod in the front cover for a Chevrolet.
Okay. Yes.
And that was just to put it
Oh,
in the
yeah,
welder.
Yeah.
But we got more fixtures like that, and we'll probably do.
Now,
some
who made
more.
this piece? Did Stafford or did Curtis Wright?
Either Curtis or Stafford. I mean,
And that's two machinists that worked at Petty Enterprises for
Stafford
years.
Wood, and Curtis Wright.
Yeah.
Curtis Wright, Stafford Wood.
Probably.
But boy, Daddy sure did lean on them men a lot.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Curtis Wright,
Yeah.
this is according to him. This was the first tool he ever made, and they didn't really have any machine tools or nothing like that. They just had bought a couple used Bridgeports and whatnot. But he took and made his own tool, and this is, if you can look at the dome on it, it's the CC plate for doing a Hemi. And I think there's something marked there. Right here it says 175 and 178 cc's. That's what this poured with nothing in it. Yeah, so...
Yeah,
Very
there you
good,
go.
very
That's
good.
right, yeah.
Very good.
That's a visual.
So in
yeah.
other words, that was to take up for them popping out of the top of the, that's how you measured it, and then you took that number away. But yeah, that's
Yep.
cool. And then we did one ourselves later on, and you can see where we've took and carved out area for the valve pockets and whatnot. But this was a newer one of these. But this was one of the first ones I knew that existed, other than the old flat top ones, which was just a flat piece of Lexan.
Right, but the Hemis had such a dome, right?
Yeah, but I mean, and Curtis said, he put a mirror. I mean, he was just one of them
Oh, he's a genius.
great machinists.
He's a genius.
We all learned a
Well,
bunch.
wasn't I don't mean to get off.
Go ahead,
subject,
yeah.
Go ahead.
But wasn't Curtis Wright the one that was very instrumental in attaching a wedge head to a Hemi block?
He was in on that.
He had to be.
He was in on that.
Yeah, which was a
Yeah.
huge deal.
Well,
That's
yeah.
what I was gonna say. Most of that engine, when they went to the small block, it was all handmade. So you
Right.
had all the Daddy, like you
Well,
said.
that was after.
But
what
even
he's
the
talking
big
about.
blocks, when they took the
Yeah,
big
now-
block wedge head and put on a Hemi block,
Well, you had to have little pieces.
Right,
put
but
in
I was
there.
saying-
and then when they went to the
But
small
I'm going
block,
to the
you're
small
right,
block that he really leaned on
because they
Curtis,
started out.
'cause everything was handmade.
Wasn't the first small block race at Wilkesboro,
Yes.
and
Yep, they went
Richard
up there.
won.
They went up there and won it.
and Daddy got the block out of a junkyard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Out of a TA,
Yeah,
whatever Chrysler was.
but like you said, Curtis was instrumental in taking those junkyard parts and
Now,
making
who was
them
the
race parts.
Shorty Pugh? Was another.
yeah, and
Shorty.
I
I don't
mean,
remember him as
he
much.
kind of passed away while he worked here, but I
Yep.
don't really know what he did because I was just a kid at the time.
But he was a machinist.
Yeah, he worked in.
Yep.
They had a full blown turret lathe.
Oh, I love them turret lathes.
Yeah.
and it was no CNCs or no NC
It was
machines.
all handmade.
Well, there's no such thing at the time, right? Or was
Well,
it?
they were
had
probably
punch
coming
corners.
on.
Okay.
Yeah, but everything here was made with. But the turret lathe was neat because it would self tool.
I actually got to work on a turret lathe, and I loved it.
Now they made wheels. They would cut them wheels down here.
Well, and the tubes for the axle tubes for the rear ends.
Yeah.
It was all homemade.
But again, you can't do that these days because
No.
Well, you got to buy the parts from a vendor.
right.
But if you remember, though, a lot of things was going on during the 70s because they had the Chrysler parts distribution here.
True.
So they were making parts for Chrysler to sell to local racers. So that machine
During
shop,
the kit car days, especially.
exactly,
Oh,
that
that's right.
machine shop was running
Yeah. All the time.
continuously. Yes,
I don't know if they ever had two shifts, but
Well, no, but it run for at least 12 hours.
yeah.
Yeah, at least.
Well, another tool I have that you can basically, this is just how it comes out of the pack to change rocker arms on today's shaft rockers. And what we had to do when we did change valve springs in the car, we had to come up with this to get up under the roll bars.
Mm.
You see what I mean? Because that would be in the way. And actually, we used to take a wrench every once in a while just because that. Oh, man, I about broke that thing. But the way the bars would come in on the car, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, I remember fighting that. Yeah.
The back two was always a pistol to get to. Anyway, that was, some
And
of the
that was
stuff.
during the days that you changed valve springs after practice before the
Yes,
race, right?
even in the trucks.
Yeah,
I mean, because
yeah.
the just was not quite there. And I don't really know what we use this for. Nobody seems to know, but it was some sort of spanner wrench. And we have probably 100 more
Oh,
examples
there's all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
out there.
laying around here, including the spark
Well, it's
plug.
the old thing going. You make it, you use it, and then you save it because you might need it another day.
Yeah.
And we don't ever throw
and
nothing
we
away.
still use these things
Yeah.
every day
Yeah.
down here.
Well, every day that we're here.
We,
Yeah.
Like I said, we've coined this as a working museum, and it certainly is.
Yeah, it is, and we're fortunate to have been able to hold on to a lot of these
Oh, yeah.
pieces that Dad. and
I
those
can't
guys
believe you
made.
didn't dig more out. I mean, that's all we
Well,
got.
yeah, but it's
But it comes back. It sets the example with these homemade tools and stuff that shows you that the men that worked
yes.
at these race teams back during the 70s and 60s and all the way through, there was a lot of smart people. And then there's smart people there now.
And the sad thing is, what you're saying is the modern stuff, you don't have this ability to really be creative.
But you
Well,
know,
it's all done on. It's all engineering now. It's done with CAD drawings and.
but you know, guys,
Yeah, CNCs.
guys that worked here, and they went on and started other shops like Curtis, and he had Eddie Brown and people like that. Daddy still relied on them through the years when
Yep.
he'd come up.
Jimmy
with an idea.
Scott.
Yep, he'd give them
Yep.
a call, and he'd go sit with them and tell them what he wanted. And they'd end up making it. But people like Eddie Brown and Curtis Wright, I mean, they was just amazing people.
Eddie always said he wasn't a machinist; he was a cobbler.
Well, but he could come. You come up with it, he can make it.
Sure,
Oh,
sure
and,
enough.
and as far as welding or
Oh, yeah.
machining or concocting,
Right.
whatever
and
it
you,
was.
and you had these machinists, and you had people like Richie Bars, Steve Mills, and them guys who were fabricators, but they were top of the line fabricators,
Yep,
just
yep,
like these
that's
guys were
right.
top of the line
Yep.
machinists.
I think Eddie Brown was a top of the line fabricator, machinist, or
Eddie
whatever.
could do anything.
He could, couldn't he?
if you wanted to.
You know that land speed record truck we did. He put the roll cage in that
Right.
truck.
That's right, he sure did,
Yeah,
didn't he?
that was kind of a nice deal.
And he was just that type of guy. He's one of them guys that would go out there and work on it. It might not be early in the morning, but sometime during the middle of the night, he'd get up and go out there and start.
Have an idea.
Yeah.
Wake up on.
It would
Well,
bother him. He couldn't quit.
didn't. If I hope this ain't getting too personal, but I can remember me and Dad going down to Curtis Wright's place, because you know Curtis Wright and Dad helped us in the early '90s come up with them
Shock things.
bump stops
Yeah.
on the shock, and we didn't realize what we had. But his wife said that he might stay up for a day or two thinking about stuff and be working
Yeah.
at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he couldn't put it down once he
Right,
got
but just
started.
their minds work so fast.
And Daddy was a lot like that.
Absolutely.
I'm not like that.
I like sleep. No, I think this was a good episode.
That apple fell off the tree and rolled down the hill because I'm not nowhere near that.
I don't know. Yeah, I think we don't give ourselves enough credit, but a lot of these things were out of necessity. We've utilized them back then, and even today, something rolls in here and we'll say, "Oh, we got something for that," and it might take us a while, but we'll find
Well,
it.
it's like,
Yep.
and I'll give you a lot of credit. Their dyno services we've run through the years. When somebody rolls in here with something new, they can't go anywhere else because they can't get it done. Man, you can get it hooked up.
Well,
on the
that's the
dyno.
way we built that dyno is where we could put different stuff on it
Yep.
because we knew we weren't committed to just one brand because we were such a small
And we
potatoes
run-
operation.
We've had them boat motors and had different stuff with them.
Well, that was the first thing we run for a customer.
Running up to the
With
top.
the grass burners
Yeah,
on
that's
for,
right.
for
We've
the
had
big
them-
block Chevrolets.
We run them late models with the mufflers. No, we had them 2-in-1s and everything.
But remember when we got the dyno, both grandfather and daddy both said, "Hey, it can't just sit here." So
Yep.
they made us keep a little log book, and we did a lot of.
Well, if you go back there right now, you got a bell housing and stuff ready for a Ford, Chevy, and a Dodge.
Big blocks, small blocks.
It's ready
Yep.
to go. All you got to do is 20 minutes. You
The hard part is the center mounts,
Yeah.
all the different stuff, because everybody's got something different, you know.
Yes,
But
sir.
yeah, it all goes along with the same.
Well, there's another little insight to our racing careers and our
And we want to
forefathers.
thank everybody for watching our stuff, and we're trying to come up with more stuff. Oh yeah, here we go.
Well, I was gonna say we've got some new stuff on the website there. Check in with us, and it helps the cause. We'd love to give one to everybody, but we got to help the cause a little bit. So we appreciate you looking in with us. We appreciate you liking and subscribing, and give us some comments and check us out again. Thank you.